A British officer had this man whipped 499 times. He counted every single lash. He never forgot. 20 years later, he would face the British Army again. This time, he held the whip. At a cattle pasture called the Cowpens, he built a trap so perfect that soldiers still study it today. In under an hour, one of Britain's finest units would be completely destroyed. This is the story of the man Britain whipped 499 times and lived to regret every single one. Before the war, Daniel Morgan was a poor teamster hauling supplies through the Virginia frontier. He had no wealth, no education, no connections. In 1756, during the French and Indian War, young Morgan worked as a civilian wagon driver supporting British military operations. According to the most repeated account, Morgan struck a British officer after being insulted. The punishment for that act was severe. He was sentenced to 500 lashes, a punishment brutal enough to kill many men outright. Morgan was tied to a post and whipped. The drummer assigned to count the lashes reportedly lost track near the end. Morgan received 499, one short of the sentence. Morgan survived. He carried the scars across his entire back for the rest of his life, a permanent reminder of that day. He later joked darkly that the British still owed him one more lash, since the drummer had miscounted. That bitterness never fully faded. When the American Revolution began in 1775, Morgan showed up almost immediately with a company of Virginia riflemen ready to fight. He marched with Benedict Arnold's brutal expedition toward Quebec, enduring starvation and freezing cold through the Maine wilderness. During the assault on Quebec, Morgan took a musket ball through the neck. He reportedly kept fighting anyway, refusing to fall back. At the Battle of Saratoga in 1777, Morgan's sharpshooters played a decisive role, picking off British officers with devastating long-range accuracy. Saratoga became the turning point of the entire war, convincing France to join the American cause. Morgan's riflemen were central to that victory. Despite his battlefield success, Morgan grew increasingly frustrated. Chronic pain, unpaid recognition, and health problems eventually pushed him to resign his commission. By 1780, the war in the South had turned disastrous. British forces controlled most of the region, and American resistance was collapsing rapidly. General Nathanael Greene arrived to take command of what remained of the Southern Continental Army, a force barely functioning as an army at all. Greene made an unusual decision. Rather than keep his tiny force together, he split it in two, sending part of it west under Daniel Morgan. Morgan, now back in uniform despite his pain, took command of roughly 600 men, a mix of Continental regulars and untrained militia. Pursuing him was Banastre Tarleton, a young and aggressive British cavalry commander, known for speed, ruthlessness, and near-total confidence. Tarleton had built a fearsome reputation, cutting down surrendering soldiers in earlier battles. He believed American militia always broke under pressure. Morgan chose to make his stand at a place called the Cowpens, an open cattle pasture with a river cutting off any route of retreat behind him. His officers were confused. The position offered no natural cover and no easy escape. Morgan had chosen it deliberately for exactly that reason. The night before the battle, Morgan walked from campfire to campfire, personally explaining the plan to every single unit under his command. He told his militia something no commander usually promised. They would not have to face a bayonet charge. They only needed 2 good volleys. Morgan arranged his forces in 3 careful lines. The first, a thin screen of skilled riflemen, was ordered to target enemy officers specifically. Behind them stood the militia line. Their orders were simple: fire 2 aimed volleys, then withdraw calmly around the American flank. Behind the militia stood Morgan's most reliable troops, disciplined Continental regulars positioned on a low rise, ready to hold the final line. And hidden completely out of sight behind the second hill waited American cavalry. The hammer meant to strike once the British were fully committed. Tarleton pushed his exhausted men through a brutal overnight march, eager to catch Morgan before he could escape across the nearby river. When Tarleton's scouts reported Morgan's position, open ground with a river at his back, he saw exactly what he expected to see: easy prey. Tarleton ordered an immediate attack without resting his men or conducting proper reconnaissance. His confidence had already decided the outcome for him. The American riflemen opened fire first, targeting officers exactly as instructed. British commanders began falling before the main assault even connected. At close range, the militia line delivered 2 devastating volleys directly into the British formation. Entire sections of the advancing line simply collapsed. Then, exactly as planned, the militia began withdrawing around the flank. To the British, it looked exactly like a familiar, predictable American retreat. Believing the Americans were routing, British soldiers surged forward without orders. Discipline collapsed as officers lost control of their own advancing troops. The disorganized British charge ran straight into Morgan's waiting Continental line. At nearly point-blank range, a devastating volley tore through their ranks. American regulars followed immediately with a bayonet charge into the stunned and scattered British front. For the first time, the British began falling back. At that exact moment, American cavalry thundered out from behind the hill and slammed directly into the exposed British flank at full gallop. The returning militia reappeared exactly where planned, firing into the British from a third direction. The formation was now completely surrounded. Surrounded on 3 sides, the British force broke completely. Soldiers threw down their muskets and surrendered in overwhelming numbers within minutes. Tarleton attempted a desperate personal counterattack with his remaining cavalry, clashing directly with American horsemen before narrowly escaping the field alive. The entire battle lasted roughly 1 hour. Morgan's forces killed or wounded over 300 British soldiers and captured nearly 600 more. American losses stood at just 12 killed and 60 wounded. The kill ratio remains one of the most lopsided outcomes of the entire Revolutionary War. News of Tarleton's destruction reached British commander Lord Cornwallis, who was reportedly furious. He had just lost his most aggressive field commander in a single morning. Cornwallis, desperate to recover the momentum, burned his own supply wagons and pushed his army into a punishing, unsustainable chase northward. That reckless pursuit stretched his supply lines to the breaking point and exhausted his remaining troops, pulling them further from any real support. The chase eventually led Cornwallis to a small tobacco port on the Chesapeake Bay called Yorktown, where his army would ultimately be surrounded and forced to surrender. Historians still trace a direct line from that frozen morning at Cowpens to the final British surrender at Yorktown less than a year later. What made Cowpens remarkable wasn't luck. Morgan understood his own men better than almost any commander in the entire war, and he built around it. He never asked his militia to be something they weren't. He gave them a task they could actually accomplish and trusted them completely to do it. The same man once whipped nearly to death by British discipline had just orchestrated one of the most complete tactical victories in American military history. The Cowpens battlefield is quiet today. Rolling green pasture, gentle hills, open sky, giving little hint of the desperate hour it once witnessed. Military academies still teach Cowpens today as a textbook example of double envelopment and using an enemy's own aggression directly against them. Morgan carried those whip scars for the rest of his life. He never publicly forgot the men who gave them to him, and it clearly showed. 24 years after that whipping post, Daniel Morgan didn't just defeat a British force. He proved exactly what discipline, patience, and memory could accomplish.